the teaching also comes to be called the Dhamma. The presentation of the Dhamma that we will give in these lectures to follow is made from the standpoint of the Theravada school of Buddhism, which is the oldest continuous Buddhist lineage that preserves the teaching of the Buddha going back to the historical Buddha himself. Other schools of Buddhist thought would present the Dhamma in other ways, deriving from their own philosophical standpoint. The principal source for our talks is the Tipitaka, the Pali Canon, which consists of 3 collections of scripture preserved in the ancient Pali language. The 3 collections are the Vinaya Pitaka, the Sutta Pitaka, and the Abhidhamma Pitaka. The Vinaya Pitaka is the collection of discipline. This gives the rules and regulations for the orders of Buddhist monks and Buddhist nuns. The Sutta Pitaka is the collection of suttas, the sermons and discourses of the Buddha and of some of his great disciples. The 3rd collection, the Abhidhamma Pitaka, is the collection of philosophical treatises which present the Dhamma from the standpoint of a very precise philosophical and psychological analysis. Of these 3 collections, the one we have relied on mainly for our own presentation is the Sutta Pitaka, the collection of the Buddha's discourses. And we've also utilized some of the commentaries which systemize and explain the teaching given in the discourse. Now we can come to the main topic of this first lecture, which is the Buddha himself. In one sutta, the Buddha says that one who sees the Buddha sees the Dhamma. So one avenue of approach to seeing the Dhamma, the truth proclaimed by the Buddha, is by examining the teacher, by investigating the one who makes known the truth. The deeper we understand the nature of the Buddha, the deeper we understand the Dhamma, the teaching. And of course the converse is also true. The deeper we understand the teaching, the Dhamma, the deeper we understand the Buddha. Now the word Buddha is not a proper name, but an honorific title. The word comes from the Pali Sanskrit root Bud, B-U-D-H, meaning to understand, to know, or to awaken. The word Buddha thus means the one who has understood the truth, the enlightened one, the one who has awakened from the sleep of ignorance and who awakens others from the sleep of ignorance. He is the finder of truth and the proclaimer of truth. The historical person we know as the Buddha was an Indian prince of the Shakya people living in northern India. He renounced his right to the throne, became a religious seeker early in his life, and then, after reaching enlightenment, he became a spiritual teacher. His given name was Siddhartha, and his family name Gautama. He was not called the Buddha in his early years, but he acquired this designation only in his 35th year, after he attained supreme enlightenment. However, when we say that the word Buddha is a title, this can be misleading. The word is actually not simply a title given to one particular individual, but it is a designation for a kind of individual. It represents not a single unique person, but a type of person. According to Buddhist tradition, only one Buddha, only one fully, perfectly enlightened one, can appear in any historical period. But throughout the cycles of world evolution, of cosmic evolution, there have been many Buddhas appearing one at a time, separated by vast intervals. Siddhartha Gautama is only the most recent Buddha, the one known to history. But all those persons who possess the requisite qualities, the completely enlightened world teaches, all of these gain the designation Buddha. An analogy can be drawn between the idea of a Buddha and the idea of the President of the United States. We apply the title the President only to the current leader of the United States, of the American executive branch. But the word is applied to this man not in the sense that he is the only president the U.S. has ever had, but because he is the latest president, the current president. But there have been many presidents in the past, and there will be more in the future as well. The word president applies to all those persons in succession, from the first American president up to the present one. All those persons who have been the leaders of the United States, of the executive branch of the United States government. Similarly, the title Buddha applies not only to the present Buddha, Siddhartha Gautama, but also to all those persons in the succession or lineage of enlightened ones who have appeared in the world going back through the ages of the past and going ahead into the future as well. Now this raises a question. The question, what is a Buddha? What are the distinguishing qualities of this type of person that receives the designation Buddha? We can answer this question from two standpoints. Firstly, from the standpoint of function, and secondly, from the standpoint of attributes or qualities. We begin with the standpoint of function. And to answer this question from the standpoint of function,